Hi everyone, so today I have this gorgeous set called Compassion and Poppies to share with you. Tonic Studios is sponsoring this video and sent these items free of charge for my review, and all opinions are my own. And any links I have in the description box will be affiliate links, which means I'll make a small commission if you purchase items through those links. So this happens to be Stamp Club, I believe, number 6. Every month, I believe Maria Willis, she's the designer of them, has a new stamp coming out with dies and everything. Yours will come a little bit differently. Again, this is a sample for me, but usually you will have the pouches for your stamp and your dies. And just a really gorgeous set this month. So hopefully you can see this pretty well. As you can see, the different flowers, some background like leaves, things like that. I love that it has all these different sentiments. So it has "at this difficult time, thinking of you," "warm birthday wishes," "keeping you in my heart," "I'm so sorry for your loss," "sending the biggest hug your way." Lots of separate little flowers here. Super cute. And then the little kind of wildflower look, the little like field of flowers right there. And pretty much they all have dies that go with them. So that's really great. Even the leaves. And then they have a branch one here. And obviously you can see I didn't mention this one here. There's a stem, a couple of branches, and then all the flowers and even the set that looks like wildflowers here all have dies with them, which I love. That's a must. And then over here, we have these frames, and I was mentioning these are really cool because you can use them for anything. I mean, these are very utilitarian items to have, and it has the different size frames, 3 of them. So I think we're going to play with that today. And then let me think about what I want to do as far as getting a little artsy with this, and I will be right back. Okay guys, so I grabbed some paper. Before we get started, I did want to mention that the Stamp Club is not a membership. You just pick it up every month as you go along. I know I get that question often and I forgot to mention that. Also, now that it is March 1st, the weekend bundles are ending today, so if there's something that you want to go pick up, they have some weekend bundles that coordinate back to this kit. You can definitely pick those up. And then also the Moose sale has begun for the month of March, so all of March 2021, depends on when you're watching this. The Moose and embellishment, those kind of things are all on sale this month. So yeah, so definitely check that out. So to get started, you know, like I said, I want to use these frames here, or dies, I guess rectangular dies, but I want to use it in a frame. Something kind of trendy that people are doing nowadays is adding like a little frame to the front of your card, but I'm going to make it more of a dimensional frame. And so I do have some pieces of paper here that we're going to start with. So hopefully you can envision this, or maybe you saw it in the thumbnail there. This is going to be behind our frame that we're going to build up like a little scene, but not too much. It's just a little something, a little background. And this is the piece of paper that I'm going to use for the actual frame. So this piece of paper here, the one that's going to go inside, is 3 3/4 by 5 inches. And you guys know I love to sketch out a little something, so this is kind of what I was imagining here. So I have a piece of paper that's 5 1/4 by 6 1/2 inches right here. And all we're going to do on this one is score it at a 1/2 inch from the edge and then 3/4 inch from the edge all around. Okay, so let's just do that real quick. Again, it's 5 1/4 inches by 6 1/2 inches. And I'm going to go a 1/2 and then 3/4. And I'm going to make a nice mark. We are going to run this through our die cutting machine, so I'm not going to do anything about the score marks right now. This is just purely so I can have a reference point for when I use the die. So 1/2 and 3/4, and I'll go around all the edges and do 1/2 and 3/4. So I have all those marked. Hopefully you can see that. And really, for right now, I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to actually bend or use the marks quite yet, but I am going to use them as a reference point, so I can place down the smallest frame, this one, this inner piece here. You can mix and match these to make flat frames or just mats. It's really nice. So I'm gonna look at this, and basically I want this to be in here. And again, I'm eyeballing it, but if you want to actually, you know, use a ruler and measure it and make sure it's pretty centered, we'll be happy with it about right there. Just inside that line that hopefully you can see that we created there. And when I tape this, I'll tape it towards the inside. That way if my tape tears any of my paper, it's not so detrimental. I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine. and I'll be right back. Okay. So there we go. All right. So now we have this little aperture inside of our frame. So hopefully you can see the lines. If you can't see the lines again, what you can do is go ahead and score it again, you know, because you kind of flatten it out sometimes when you run it through your machine. So what we're going to do in each corner, and hopefully you can see it, you know, we have two sets of lines, right? The one that's at 3/4 and the one that's at 1/2 inch on either spot. What we're going to do is basically cut away on this 1/2 inch line till it meets up to the other 3/4 inch line. So it's kind of a rectangle piece that we're cutting away. And then we still have these other things. So what we're going to do is we need a little piece of it. Now this is, you know, a design choice. If you don't care, we can just remove this whole little section, right? So that when we fold it, we make a square, or a rectangle frame, sorry. But where that piece and this side connect, there's going to be a gap. So if you don't want that little gap to be there and you want to make it a little more stylized, then you can do what I'm doing. But otherwise, you just cut away. There and there, and cut the whole thing away. But for now, what we're going to do is go ahead and cut to that 3/4 inch line. And then here, I'm just going to leave that little square that's created between the lines here. Hopefully that makes sense. You see what we have left? Just that little piece. So here we're going to trim away all of this and just leave that little piece of corner that is created there. Okay, and I'll be right back. I'll get a little bit closer so hopefully you can kind of see what I did. I pretty much left that tab on the longer strips. On the other one, on this one, it's on here, but I meant to leave them both on the longer side. But either way, it doesn't matter. As long as you have one little tab that's still there, okay? And so what we're going to do now is go around and score. You can bone fold if you like on all of the lines, okay? So I'm going to go take a second to do that. Go around our whole frame and do some bone folding. And I'll be right back around all the edges. Okay, and so these can settle inside each other a little better. We're just going to angle that, just make a little cut. Just so it's a little bit angled so that when it tucks in here, it just settles in nicer. And same thing with the edges. These are going to be hidden in the back, so it's not really detrimental if they look perfect or not. So I'm going to go around the edges and just angle all of them just to make it easier. Okay, so I'll angle those, and then again these little pieces, just give a little angling all around, and I'll be back. Before I put this to the side so we can use it in just a little bit, what we're going to do is just glue down those little tabs, and then the rest of the frame will be glued around the little paper that we're going to create right now. So all we're going to do is add some glue in that little tab and close it up. Just like that. And I'll do that on every single corner, and if you have to like have a tool or something to help you kind of push that towards your finger so that it stays flat, that's what you're going to do, but you're going to do it on all of the little corners all around, okay? And I'll be right back. Okay, so we have our little frame. Just took a few seconds, especially with the deluxe adhesive. We're not gluing this part down yet or doing anything with it. Just put this to the side for now. And then we have our little piece of paper here that I had sized out earlier. That's basically 5 by, I believe, 3 3/4. A little smaller than those dimensions, just to make sure it tucks in, but we might have to trim it down after we do all this. So what I'm going to do now is just add a little color on this paper. So I am just going to take some Mode Lawn, some Distress ink. And I'm not really looking to do anything other than to add a little bit of color. And I don't really want to warp this paper too much because I know sometimes when you know, I go to put this on my frame, I don't really want it to get too wonky. So that's why I'm using this and not like watercolor sprays or spritzes. I will use a little bit of water, but just in a second here. And then on the top, I'm going to use some Salty Ocean just to bring in some blue towards the top. And I'm going to leave that center just kind of more pristine right in the center there. And then I'll take a little bit of water, just drop some droplets of water just to give a little bit of texture, but okay. just suck that back up. I'll clean up. Actually, we're not quite ready for that yet. I'm gonna let this dry for a second and I'll be right back. So I'm gonna do a little bit of these kind of leaves down at the bottom just to give it some texture. So I'm gonna take the smaller one. I'll use the other one too, so we'll just put them both out for now. And I want a scrap piece of paper too. Actually, this should be fine. I'm going to come in here with that same Modelon. It'll be a little darker just because of what we're doing here. Just like that, maybe something like that. A couple second, third generation stamping. I'll wipe that one clean. And then I'll use the other one just because it's going in the other direction. Okay, so we can see we just add a little something there. I'm going to stamp that off, just that to be a little more faint. Okay, something like that. And I just want to see that some of it will show. Okay. I may need a little more. So the point of the frame is that you can see behind it, so I just want to add a little bit more just to make sure we're going to have some height. Okay, I think we're good. Alright, I'm going to clean up and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have all that put to the side here. I have another piece of stamping card and I'm just going to do these little guys. And I'm going to go ahead and ink them up in hybrid ink and black shadow. In case, you know, if you want to do watercolor instead, or you want to use water-based markers or alcohol ink markers, this will cover any of those things, and you can then color in however you like. This does have a die that goes along with it, so I want to make sure I give myself some room. Oh, so pretty. Okay, I'm gonna let that dry for a second. I'm gonna grab some alcohol ink markers. Okay, so I'm just gonna take a minute and color these in. I just grabbed some green and some kind of orange, like California poppies, colored. I mentioned that I saw some this weekend. Really pretty. So where I have the little bulbs, or like the little buds, I'm just gonna do those in green and just highlight them because they're so tiny, you don't have to do too much with those. And then on the orange ones, I'm just going to do a little bit of coloring. So let's come in here. Oh, that's a perfect color for a California poppy. First, typical poppy is more of a reddish tone. And I'm just going to do the light and medium colors. Just go around that. And I'll do the same thing for all of them, just adding a little color, and I'll be back. Okay, that didn't take too long. They're small little flowers. And you can see when you do your alcohol ink, it should be enough that it comes through the back. I probably do a little more on that one there, but that's the saturation that you want. Okay, and then I'm going to take these little guys. Now, since they are very particular, you know, if I move this way, what I'm going to do is run this through a scrap piece of paper. So I have an aperture to look through to make sure I line this up. And, you know what, I'll tape it down, whoopsie, down here, since it looks like that'll be nice and flat. I'm just going to run this through my die cutting machine and I'll be right back. Okay. And we're just going to pop this out. We don't need this. I guess if you wanted to cut it out of a color that you would like to drop shadow later, that would be great. I'll think about that, but we have that. Basically, I need it is for this. So all we're going to do is, you see how it's kind of hinged there? Is just pop it on here. And this is a really old trick when there used to be stamps, like red rubber stamps with dies, but it was hard to line them up, or even clear stamps sometimes. But if you kind of look through this, you can kind of see where it's going to cut. And when you're satisfied, you can just pop this back. Make sure it's hooked in there the right way. A little bit of tape. A little more tape so it doesn't move. And then run that through. And you'll have a better shot at getting that lined up. Okay, I'll be right back. And now we have this little guy. And it's pretty delicate, so I don't want to Just remove it carefully. And there it is. The die is cut really nicely right around the edges there. I'm going to clean up and bring all our base pieces back and get this put together. So we have our card base. This is just standard A2 size card base. We have our little piece that we cut here. We have our frame and we have our poppies. And now that I look at it, I think we're going to have a sentiment in here. I was going to put this out here, but maybe up there. And then, you know, and this actually fits right inside that frame too. So we can kind of put them like this, which is kind of fun. But what I'm going to do either way is add a little bit of green on the bottom of this one just so it's not so stark and white. So I'm going to be very careful about this because I don't want to put too much. So just a little bit of color. Just like that. Just to kind of have it blend in a little bit there. So you can see I'm putting very little. But just a little something, okay? Be a little heavier handed at the bottom there. Cute. Okay. So our next little trick right here is that we're going to fit this inside of this. And it's not going to be, it's going to sit in the back of the frame. Hopefully you see what I'm talking about. And that's why I'm going to wrap this around it. If you want to do this a different way, you know, up to you, however you like to do it. Let's see how I popped it in there. And we're going to stick these pieces to the frame. Now, if you want to do this quickly, you can definitely just use a glue tape. I'm going to put my dimensional adhesive, my deluxe adhesive in here. And I'm going to lay it on the table, and then I'll just smooth. And I don't really care what happens in the back here, because that's why I said you can just trim it down. No one's going to see it. I'm just going to put that down like that, and just make sure everything is where I would want it to be. And as I'm massaging that, you can use a bone folder or whatever it is to just really make sure that's connecting in the back. And that's all I'm going to do for just a little bit until it sets up, right? So my frame is stuck together here. Just roll in there, and I'll be back. Okay, I think I'm pretty happy with that. Look how pretty that looks already. And all I'm going to do is stick this down. And then we're going to pop in all our other pieces and do a sentiment, and we're good to go. And same thing with this one. I am going to kind of mess it a little bit up and down just so that that glue spreads around to the very corners of the card and everything. So you see I'm kind of moving it. And just make sure that this is centered. And same thing, you can smooth it obviously with your hand at this point, but you can also get in there just to make sure that the glue is setting all around. And I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm going to put this to the side for a little second, but again, we have our little piece, we're going to pop it in. You can put it inside here, you can put it out here. I think I am going to put it in, that looks really cute. Okay, so I'll put it to the side for a second, and we're just going to stamp a sentiment, and I think I'm going to use Thinking of You. And we have, even at this difficult time, you can expand on that, but I'm just going to use this. And where's that little white paper I was just using? Nowhere to be found. Okay, we'll use this. And I'm just going to ink this up. I'm just going to put it in black. It looks nice and stark. I like the look of that. Let me do this one more time. Love it. Looks like type. Very cute. And then I have this set. This is the die set that coordinates back to the Stamp Club. It's just to cut out your sentiments or however you want to use it to make labels and things. But I think I'm going to use this one here. And just so I have it right, I'm going to do my little trick again. I'm going to run it through a piece of scrap paper, and then I'll use that scrap paper to help me line it up. Even though I can see through there, I'm just not quite sure exactly how high or low it actually cuts. So I'll do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so here's the piece that popped out of making an aperture. So you can use that for something else, of course. And this is kind of what that looks like. I remove this very carefully. What I like about this die, too, is that it cuts an aperture. Like, this is what's left behind, and you can use that. You know what I'm saying? Like if you wanted to use that as a design element. Not this scrap piece, of course, but it's really cute the way it leaves that outer edge. But then you have the inside one that also has the stitching. There it is. All right, let me get some dimensional adhesives on the back of this and I'll be right back. Okay, well, let's go ahead and glue down. I have the ready, and again, I changed my mind and put them in here, so it's a little bit different than what I had planned. So I'm gonna put a little glue down here, a little bit on the edge. It looks like that's all it's gonna be touching. So I'm gonna slide this in here and up here, and I'm gonna hold that until it's ready. But in the meantime, yeah, I'll be back. I'm just gonna hold it down. Okay, so there's that. And then we're gonna take our sentiment and just pop it down in here. You can put this wherever you like. I just, you know, I mean, it looks really sweet there too. I just liked it to be in the frame, but you know, do whatever you like. Before I really push that down, I wanna see where it's at. And if it looks straight enough to me, and then I'll push it down. So a little bit on this side. Oh, so sweet. There it is. And there's my card. Very simple, crisp, clean. Again, you know, you want to do some other extras, little ribbons, little bows, or things like that. But I wanted to show you the technique of making the frame and having these gorgeous stamps nestled in there. So thanks for watching, guys. Thank you so much, Tonic, for sponsoring this video, for sending these items for review. I'll have the links in the description box. And don't forget, March is having the Moose sale all month long. Weekend bundles are wrapping up today, and the stamp set will be available until it sells out. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you at the next one. Bye now.